To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is Reverend Sean Whittington's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Reverend Sean, the Rev. Welcome to my haunted house, my very haunted house. And happy day after St. Patrick's Day. And I'm still carrying my shillelagh in case things get out of hand here. I have such a wonderful guest today, and so many of you reached out excited that she's here, so I will get to her as soon as I can. What do I want to tell you guys? You know what? I was so busy with prayers this week that I emptied the prayer vase, the prayer urn. It was empty this morning when I looked in there to see if there was any prayers to pull from. But I didn't check the Paranormal Ministry mailbag, so let's check that. Uh-oh, is it empty? Oh, I got one. Okay, what do we got here? Beatrice W. from Florida. Beatrice, you got me. What's your favorite blessed meal? Okay, I'll make this quick. My mother was Brazilian, may she rest in peace. All my life, whether it was Easter, Thanksgiving, my birthday, Christmas, Good Friday, whatever, we may have a traditional meal on that particular holiday, but she always had her famous Brazilian black bean soup, or stew, if you will, also known as feijoada in Portuguese in Brazil. And you can look it up online as to the recipes, many different recipes for it. But that's what we would have always. And it's a delicious meal. And she would make it blessed. Soak the black beans over the raw, uncooked black beans overnight in holy water. The next day, drain them, fill the pot back up with holy water, throw in a punch of blessed salt. A punch, not a pinch. Put salt in the palm of your hand, throw it in the pot. And that's how she'd cook the beans and throw in all the meats and stuff, served over white rice with special biscuits and stuff on the side. Just delicious. Feijoada, Brazilian black bean stew. Look it up. That's my favorite meal growing up. If there's anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz, the ministry. If you go there to visit, keep in mind that my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work. So I know times are tough, but if you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, click on it and send in a small donation. I promise you it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts, and trust me, we will put it to good use. In addition to being an ordained exorcist, I'm also a certified spiritual advisor, intuitive coach. If you're having issues of a spiritual nature not attached to the paranormal and you'd like to speak to the Rev about that, there's a place on the website where you can make an appointment to speak with me. But don't leave the website without navigating over to the page called the WSE course/book. On that page, you'll find the Ghost Store. Really cool things to buy on the Ghost Store, like this awesome throwback Ghost Be Gone coffee cup, along with some other stuff, if you go for that kind of thing. But scroll down and you'll run into my new haunted autobiography, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry. And I quote, the scariest book I ever published. That was Annette Munich, my publisher. But don't let that scare you off of purchasing a copy. It's a very different kind of feel-good story where there's a lot of good versus evil, where good wins. But if you haven't done your good deed for the day yet, pick up a copy, because part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my book goes to support stjude.org, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada, and the ASPCA. So you get to do something special with your purchase. You can get it a little less expensive at Amazon, but if you buy it off of the website, I autograph it. It leaves my house. I autograph it, and it Comes in a beautiful house blessing kit, and I throw in some other very special blessed items that you can only get from yours truly, the Rev. Scroll a little further down and you'll see the Worldwide Society of Exorcists, which I am a founding member. I offer a college level online course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, through the WSE. And that is the course for all you true warriors for Christ that feel a longing and a calling to want to learn more about how to draw your line in the sand, circle the wagons, and put up a good fight against, God forbid, true evil if it ever comes calling. That's the course for you. All of my students that graduate get a stunning diploma, certificate of completion, suited for framing, along with some other very special blessed items that, again, you can only get from yours truly, the Rev. You can enroll in the course there at the website, but if you'd like to read more about the course before making that type of commitment, there's a Worldwide Society of Exorcists Facebook page, or you can just call me, talk to me about the course. I'm approachable, I'm easy to find, and I can talk to you about the course if you'd like to. But most importantly, keep all of my former, current, and future students in your prayers. Okay? Alrighty. What else do I want to tell you guys? Other than I love you, thank you for tuning in. I don't have a show without you. Hope everybody's St. Patrick's Day was wonderful. Mine was very quiet. So, without further ado, to help me celebrate the day after St. Patrick's Day, Ireland's own, please welcome to the show, brothers and sisters, MAI HERNON. May, how are you?
Sean, it is fantastic to talk to you again and to talk to all your listeners. Happy St. Patrick's Week, everybody. We had a great day yesterday. So, how was your day yesterday, Sean?
I was just having this conversation with a good friend of mine who I think for years and years and years, he was always by my side every St. Patrick's Day going out partying. Now, everybody that knows me and loves me knows that for many, many years I was a raging alcoholic
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, and drug addict. So, back in the day, St. Patrick's Day was many of them I don't even remember even the following day what happened because they, you know how it is. But so nowadays they're very quiet, which is cool. Um, Sharon always goes and buys me Irish cream flavored coffee creamer to make sure that
Nice.
that's in my coffee.
Yeah.
Um, and she always throws a corned beef roast which is not even really an authentic Irish dish, but she throws the corned beef roast in the crock pot. So they're very quiet now, which is how I like them. But St. Patrick's, is very special to me. I was baptized under him as my guardian saint, and many years later in the Catholic Church, I was also confirmed under him as my guardian saint. So St. Patrick's Day was always huge in my family. My mom always made sure I had something green on, and it was just always a big deal. Not as big deal as if I was a member of the Hernon family living in Ireland, but um, I know what I want to share with you. We talked a little bit about this in the green room that you know about this book.
Yes.
A little book. It sticks.
Yeah.
It's in your. You can put it in your pocket. The Luck of the Irish, and I don't know what you want to call what's in there. Little sayings, blessings, a little quotes from famous Irish people
Yeah.
over the centuries. After I read through the whole thing, I made it a point every St. Patrick's Day, I just randomly close my eyes, open it up to wherever it opens up to, and I read what's on that page. And I had to have a big smile put on my face yesterday because when I read what was in there, it reminded me of you because and you're on the show today. I'm like, that was meant to happen. You said this to me. Well, maybe not word for word, but you said this to me the day we first met. And I'm going to share what
Okay.
I opened the book up to. Okay. Overhead in a Dublin bus terminal. Traveler. I want a return ticket. Ticket seller. Where to? Traveler. Back here, of course. John McCarthy. And you told me when we first met, having Irish in my heritage and in my background, I'm destined to come back to Ireland one day.
I'll tell you what I said to you exactly, Sean. Irish blood always goes home, and it does.
Is
Even
that
if you don't,
is that was that meant for me to read that, knowing that,
that
and I
was,
knowing that you were coming on today,
yeah.
and so anyway, how now you tell me how your St. Patty's Day was, and then I'm going to get to these are all questions from fans and followers of yours, and I have to get to them because
Okay.
people are. I'm getting in a bad habit again, and I made a New Year's resolution I wouldn't do it. I'm getting in a bad habit again of not reading the questions that people send
Okay.
in for my guests. So I got to do that because they are
That's good.
friends and fans and followers of yours. So please, you actually forgive me for not telling you right off the bat how beautiful and pretty you look today.
Really?
And I haven't seen your beautiful face in a while. So thank you so much for being here. And now the show is yours. I'm
Thank
going to leave, take over, um, treat it
Well,
well, and
uh, I'll tell you. I'll tell you. I'll just give you a kind of a short synopsis of what happened to me since I saw you last. As you know, COVID happened. So I had 10 tours scheduled for 2020, and the rug was simply pulled out from under me, and I had to reschedule them, and I had to reschedule them, and I had to reschedule them, and in the process, I lost about 4 tours totally. So I ended up not having income, not having a job. So this is a long answer to your question, Sean.
no, there's no long answers. May I? You when I could close my eyes when you talk, and I feel like I'm back in Ireland. So I enjoy just listening to you talk. You
Well,
talk as long as you want to talk.
all right, I won't do too much, but anyhow, I ended up not having an income and not working, so I can't not work, So I got a job, and in a way, it's a blessing that I got this job. I work for a company. I transport people in wheelchairs from hospital to residence areas.
That's a wonderful
It
job.
is. It is. And I'll tell you something, I will never complain about anything because I am blessed by God. I
Gonna
have
make me cry.
I have good health.
Yeah.
For instance, yesterday, you asked me what I did yesterday. I started work at I think it was quarter to 7 in the morning. I went to this nursing home. I picked up this lady, God bless her and God love her, very bad with dementia. And I brought her to an appointment. She was getting staples out. She had had a hip operation and she was getting staples out. And you could see I connected with her, so that was good. Um, you could see that she was very traumatized when they had finished. It only took 5 minutes, but Sean, you don't know the terror that these people feel sometimes. So we got her back in to bring her home, and we settled her down. I settled her down. I say we did because I'll tell you, and it's not because I'm talking to you, Reverend Sean. This is me. I have a pilot and a co-pilot in the van with me every day, and that's God. And he helps me to deal with whatever I have to deal with during the day. And I have to deal with a lot of different things. But it is an absolute blessing. And when I can make a person's day better just by talking to them, well, there, it's done. So
Yeah.
anyhow, I had two yesterday. I had two dementia patients, and then I came home and I quickly did a bit of practice for the gig that we were doing yesterday evening in the Irish Heritage Centre in Cincinnati. Got the bar on out and put a bit of work into a few songs, and we went then and we had a fantastic hour and a fantastic evening in the Irish Heritage Centre, and we entertained a crowd of people that had a ball there for the night. So that's what I did yesterday.
Uh, were you ever, uh, did you ever have this crazy St. Patty's days? Like I had many of them growing
No,
up.
Sean, and I'll tell you why. Because in Ireland, St. Patrick's Day, this is what blows my mind about over here. In Ireland, St. Patrick's Day is a holy day of obligation. You go to Mass in the morning. I'll give you a typical Irish day. Let's say coming from the small village that I came from in northwest of Ireland, in Sligo. You'd go to Mass in the morning. You would usually have a bunch of shamrock on you somewhere. You'd come home. You'd probably go to the local town or the local city and you'd watch the parade. You would then come home and you'd have dinner. You'd relax for a while, and maybe you'd go out that night, maybe at 9:30 at night, for some music in the bars and a couple of drinks. Some people who are raging alcoholics, they would stay in the pub all day long, but that's not the majority of people. It is a holy day of obligation. So there you go. It's we're not as great. We don't dye everything green, and we don't have. I mean, for instance, we went into Skyline yesterday evening, and there was green spaghetti. Oh my gosh!
Oh,
It nearly turned my stomach. I thought, oh, how can anyone eat that stuff? Now I know it doesn't taste, you know, any different than ordinary spaghetti, but oh no, the look of it. Oh no.
oh man. Wow.
Oh yeah,
I yeah, this is what I'm going to ask you. I
yeah.
mentioned the corned beef and you'd be surprised some people think that's authentic Irish St. Patty's Day meal, and it's not. It's something
Yeah.
American. I don't even know how the Americans came up with that and made it the
I don't know.
official
Yeah,
American Irish St. Patty's Day
yeah.
meal. I still have it, but what would be as traditional Irish as you could get in your hometown growing up on St. Patty's Day? If there is a traditional meal that you would want to have on that day and drink, let's say, what would that be?
Okay. Usually we would have Irish stew because it's still kind of cold. March the 17th. March the 17th is a special day for kids because you do Lent. So on March the 17th, you can break your Lent. So even if you're off the drink, you can go and have a few drinks on March the 17th. Or if you're not eating sweets like candy, if you have given those up for Lent, you can break the fast for March the 17th. But normally we would have stew or we'd have what we do is bacon and cabbage and potatoes. Now, bacon is not we call your what we call bacon in America, the strips that you fry. Well, bacon is kind of like it's like a roast of beef. It's a piece of meat that you boil with the cabbage. So it gives the cabbage the flavor, and then you boil potatoes
Oh, that
separately.
sounds wonderful.
And then, Sean, I'm getting hungry now thinking about it. Then you slice the bacon into thick slices, and you have your cabbage, and you put dollops of butter on the cabbage and salt. And then you have your potatoes and you put dollops of butter and salt and pepper on the potatoes. And you sit down and you just eat it and you enjoy it. There's another traditional dish that we do at home, and it's kind of it's peculiar to the northwest. My son loves it. He can't get it. He used to live up in Dublin and he couldn't get it, and it's called box day. And I actually put a video.
Oh yeah, I've
Yeah.
heard of yeah.
Yeah, box tea is very, very simple to make. You take your raw potatoes, you peel them, and you scrape them. Now you don't kind of slice them. You get the very rough end of a scraper and you scrape it, and then you put flour in and you put salt. The trick to good box tea is the amount of salt you put in it, and then you fry it on the pan, thin slices of, and it comes out crispy. Now, my husband, I can't believe that he even likes it, but he loves putting butter and syrup on it. He'd eat it morning, noon, and night. We'd normally just eat it in the evening and we just put butter on it. But he loves putting maple syrup on it. So there you go. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, before I mean the hour goes by really fast. I want to make sure we get all the important things out of the way first. Introduce everybody to Secret Ireland tours, and I hear a rumor that you've got some other tour companies, at least
Hmm.
one, or if not
Yes.
more. Introduce them to that,
Yeah.
and then talk a little bit about um, growing up in Ireland and how you came to be the wonderful traditional Irish musician and singer that you are today?
Well, thanks, Sean. First of all, I'll go in reverse. I grew up in a very small village, and that village was called Gurchin, County Sligo, and it was a very cultural village. Everybody played music. They either had the fiddle or a flute or a bodhrán, or they could sing. And when you're growing up in an environment like that, my father would bring me out to house sessions, or he would bring me to the local bar where there was music. And there was never a problem about kids going into the bars because it was kind of like an introduction to the culture. And we would learn. There was a man by the name of Johnny Hannon, God rest his soul. And as a child, I watched that man come into the bar, and he would sing, he danced, he played the bodhrán. And I think above all people, I think he had the greatest influence on me because he had just pure talent. There was no polishness about him, or there was no grandeur about him. It was in his bones. Do you know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
totally in his bones. It was like as natural as breathing. And in Gurchin, it is as natural as breathing to either sing, dance, or play music. So growing up in that environment, it was kind of easy for me. And I loved traditional singing. I loved the way the voices were used, and the ornamentation was put in, and the phrasing and everything. And there was no deliberate beat to it. And it was very personal. You could sing a song depending on how you felt. You could sing a song different every time you sang it, or you could put ornamentation in a different place. And of course, watching Johnny Hannon, I learned how to play the bodhrán from watching him, and he used to bring me out dancing as well. So I learned how to dance from him as well. So then, growing up, um, I never thought I'd leave Ireland. I mean, that wasn't something that was in my mind at all. Never thought I would take my roots and put them somewhere else. I think they're still over there somewhere. But anyhow,
Oh yeah.
I ended up getting married to a very well known musician, and we had three sons, and they're all top class musicians. But that marriage didn't last. We were together for about 20 years, and then about 10 years later, I meet my now husband, and it took him 10 years to convince me to come over here to America. So eventually I did. And the reason I came over to America was because a friend of mine, 55 years of age, he was doing a charity walk, and he was climbing a mountain at home in Sligo. And he had two nurses with him. There was a few more there as well, but he stood up at the top of the mountain. He looked out and he said, "Isn't this absolutely glorious? Thank God, isn't it beautiful?" And like that, Sean, he dropped down dead. And the
Oh,
two nurses couldn't do anything to help him. So anyway, he was only 55. And that was like when I heard that he died, that was like a switch going on for me. I realized life was too short. So I thought, okay, I'm going to see what what I'm going to do next. So eventually I decided to come over to America, and we got married, myself and my husband. And we were doing music all around the country. We were doing concerts because Mick sings as well, and he plays guitar. So we were doing, and I was doing a lot of Irish festivals. And through that, standing up talking about the songs and the history of the songs and the places that the songs were created in, people used to come up to me and say, "Did you ever think about putting a tour together and bringing people over to see all these places that you talk about?" Now, Sean, when it's said to you once or twice, you don't take any heed of it. But when the exact same sentence is said to you 30 or 40 times, you think, "Okay, God, I'm listening. What do you want me
yeah.
to do?" And I always thought when I used to see people traveling at home in Ireland, and I'd see these big buses, 53-seater buses, and they'd pull up in front of, let's say we have in a village near me, a town near me, Boyle is the name of the town, and there's a 12th century abbey. And I used to see people jumping out of a bus, taking photographs, and jumping back in again. And I used to think that's the most ridiculous thing. Sure, they don't even know what they're taking photographs of. They
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to remember. Well, it was somewhere in Ireland, but I don't know where. You know, years after they come back to the States and they're looking through their photographs, they wouldn't know what they're looking at. So I used to think, God, why would anyone spend so much money to come to Ireland, just to jump in and out of a bus and take photographs, you have to get the opportunity to sense the place that you're visiting and to walk through the place and to touch the stones and to touch history and to hear about the history. So when, you know, again, that sentence, did you ever think about putting a tour together? And it dawned on me, well, maybe now is the time to offer people an opportunity to come. You won't see all of Ireland in 12 or 15 days. You'll see quick little snippets of it. But you could take one place or one area and really experience the country if it's done right, you know. And the fact that I have so many musician friends all around Ireland, and I know so many places around Ireland, and there's so much more than just what's on these big tour companies or the brochures that you see. There's a lot of little places that you can see that are really magical. I spoke to you one day about the Holy Well that's outside Sligo. It's an amazing place and it has a massive history. And, you know, just to walk through there and know the history of it, instead of just being dropped off, take photographs, get into the bus again, and away you go, that kind of a way. So that's how the tour company came about. And then in my wisdom, during COVID, when I wasn't making any money and I wasn't doing any tours, I had the bright idea to actually create another kind of a sister company. So I called it IrelandandMore.com tours. And I thought, if I can bring people to Ireland, a few days in Ireland and a few days in Scotland, or a few days in Ireland and a few days in Wales, or a few days in Ireland and a few days in England for 2023. So I did a lot of research, I contacted a lot of my friends, and of course, because I have traditional musician friends in all of these places as well. So I'm making good use out of my friends, and I got advice from them, and I did a lot of research. So I put tours together for 2023 for Ireland and More tours. And that's basically, and my first tour now is coming in May the 1st to the 9th in Ireland. It's the Game of Thrones tour with a lady by the name of Patty Negri from Hollywood. She does a lot with Ghost Adventures. So she's my ambassador for that tour.
Very cool. That's going to happen. COVID's still not messing with the traveling.
Ireland is totally open. We don't
Oh,
have any
great.
COVID passports. We don't have any masks. We don't have anything. It's gone. You don't even need to prove any status flying into Ireland. The only thing about it is, at the moment, when you're coming back to the States, you still need a negative test, number one, and you either have to have a vaccination. If you're a citizen, you can come back with um, a negative test or proof that you've had COVID or a vaccine.
Okay.
But I think if you're a citizen, a negative test will suffice. But if you're not a citizen, you have to have vaccination. Now, again, Sean, that could lift in the next few weeks. You wouldn't know. I think it probably will. If you're hearing a thing, it's notifications coming into my. I'm sorry if you
That's
do.
okay. That's okay. It happens.
Oh,
And we have somebody in the chat named Joshua, and he was just getting there. He is. He was just getting ready. I was just getting ready to say the exact thing that Joshua just asked. And he's not the only one. There's several requests on my sheet below me here that I got throughout this week. People wanting to know if you'll sing
I will
today,
indeed.
and it's probably with. I don't want to make you talk for an hour and then have to sing. Probably earlier the better. And so, do you want to do that now and share a couple of
Yeah, I
songs
can
with
do
us,
that.
or
I can do
yeah?
that. Tell
You're
me,
sure you're up to it? Because you can be
yeah,
honest with me and tell me if you've got a little
not to bother on me.
Patty's throat hangover.
I'll sing whenever anyone asks me to.
I will do my best not to cry, and I'm just going to sit back and enjoy you share with us whatever you want to share with
Well, I
us.
was just thinking, you know, seeing as we were talking about St. Patrick and Ireland, would your listeners like a song in the Irish language?
It would probably blow them away.
Well, okay.
The, whatever the Holy Spirit is filling you up to do,
All right. Well,
whatever the show is yours.
I'll sing a song. It's a beautiful little love song. It's a very short song, and it's only three verses. But I was given this song actually by a priest in my local village,
Really?
and yes, years and years and years and years ago, and he told me that this song, the melody of this song, was heard by Verdi, and Verdi was he. It was said that Verdi was very annoyed that he did not come up with this melody himself. He thought that it's very simple, but it's beautiful. Now I will be singing it in a traditional style, and it's all about this woman called Eileen. Now, Arun means my love, or my dear, or my darling. That's the Irish for my darling. This man is actually watching her, and she is herding her cattle down in the meadow, and he's watching her, and he instantly falls in love with her. So he asks her, can he go with her? And she, in the second verse, says to him, you can come with me, but you cannot stay. And even the third verse, he thanks her very much, because even the thought of her allowing him to walk with her to herd her cattle is enough for him. So he thanks her a million times, a million thank yous. So that's the song. So I'm going to sing it for you, okay?
Okay.
Yolan fain go no love, Eileen Arun. Yolan fain go no love, Eileen Arun. Yolan fain go no love, she's got here lad. Maar he'll go me na glaunus lad, Eileen Arun. Adioke tu no no wana tu, Eileen Arun. Adioke tu no no wana tu, Eileen Arun. Tioki mes ni anen me, tioki mes ni anen me, tioki mes ni anen me, seloi me lamsor. Ket mi le folgerot, Eileen Arun. Ket mi le folgerot, Eileen Arun. Ket mi le folgis fi harot, ni get mi le folgerot, Eileen Arun. Sinead,
Hmm.
did you like that one, Sean?
I did. I
It's
loved
a
it.
very small, little, beautiful, little song.
You have albums out. Please tell people where they can get your
Well, if
albums.
anyone wants to buy one, I have my fourth one out. The rest of them are sold out actually, but I still have some of the fourth one. They can contact me at May, MAI, at secretirelandtoursllc.com, and I'll post them up. They're very cheap. They're only $10.
Oh gosh, me. How do you go back there on these tours and not just go throw your hat up in the air and go, I'm not going back?
Well, I will tell you now. This is going to make you laugh or it's going to make you cry, Sean. I don't know what it's going to do. But however, for the first few years that I would go home. Now, for the first year, I couldn't go home because I was applying for the green card. And you cannot move out of the country if you're applying for the green card. So once I got the green card, I went home. And I didn't realize the effect the whole thing had on me, because I got home and I had a great time and I hung out with my friends and I played music and my sons and my sisters and the whole works. And then I'm coming back and I'm sitting at the airport and I am in floods of tears because I have this war going on in my head.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm leaving home. I'm leaving my culture. I'm leaving my people. I'm leaving everything. But then my husband is an American. That's where my life is, and I love him. And I'm thinking, this war, I have to go back to America, but I don't want to leave here. Now you're going to laugh when I tell you this. So this war, every time I went home, it would happen to me in the airport. I'd be in a state in the airport. And then I think my husband knew well. He knows he's a wise soul, because one time when my son and my daughter-in-law moved over to America, they brought their two dogs. So I said to Mick, and I always had dogs. I've always had dogs. I said to Mick, we'll go up to New Jersey and we'll help them, when they're coming off the plane, we'll help them with the dogs and we'll help them with their luggage and everything. So he saw how I was interacting with the dogs, and he's not particularly a dog person, but when we came back from that trip, he was looking at dogs and he said, maybe we should get a dog. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
we're not going to get a dog. And then I'm thinking, oh, is he trying to corner me now? But anyway, we ended up getting a dog, and that settled me in America. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but now when I go home, I'm sitting at the airport and I'm thinking, I can't wait to get home to the dog.
Yeah. I'm the same way.
Awful. I mean, that must sound awful, but
No, not at all. I'm the same way.
yeah, yeah.
I've never, I can't remember in my life never not having a dog. I have now, of all things, 10 cats
Oh
living
my
in my front
God.
yard. Yeah, we moved in here 20 years ago. And this one day we're out doing some gardening, and this little teeny tiny white kitten comes walking up our driveway. And we looked around, there's no people, no other cats, no nothing. I mean, we're talking tiny. We're like, holy, I mean, so of course we took it in, and we already had three mastiffs living in the house. We couldn't bring the cat in. So Sharon, we both have worked for many, many years at this animal hospital. So Sharon brought home a carrier, a food dish, a water dish, threw a couple of cat blankets in there, a couple of quilts over the top of the carrier, stuck it under the front eave of the home,
Yeah,
and we had that cat for 10 years until she got a tumor in her head, and we had to. She got so neurological that we had to send her to heaven.
yeah, yeah.
But after 10 years of having her, about 2 weeks before we knew we were going to have to help her on her journey, these four adult cats show up out of nowhere and just start kind of hanging out with her.
Really.
And we thought, oh, they must be friends of hers from the neighborhood that she never brought home to introduce to us.
Yeah.
And they know somehow
That she's
she's
gone.
so they're here to help her on that journey. Well, eventually the day came, we took her in and we came home. The other four cats never left.
Did they not?
So Sharon brought home a couple of more carriers, some more bowls of food and water, and set them up outside. And then one of the cats, we knew one was a male and one was a female because we saw them uh, doing the old
Yeah.
under the car one day. And then that one female disappeared for weeks. We never saw her. We wondered what had happened to her. And one day we go out to get ready to go to work, and there she is on our front porch with a whole litter.
Oh, wow.
Sharon brings home four more carriers and sets up all these cat homes all over the front yard. Now we have 10 cats out there. I mean, I love them to death. I haven't seen one mouse or a rat
No.
or any crawling critter around, but
Yeah.
now we've got these 10 cats out there, and everybody in the neighborhood knows I'm an exorcist, and I guess most of them have seen that movie The Rite, where
Yeah.
it's based on a true story of a priest that got possessed in Italy, and an American exorcist actually performed the exorcism on him, but he lived in this old Italian chateau across the street from a church,
Uh-huh.
and his home was infested with cats. So my neighbors, they that movie reminds them of me, and they're always pointing at the house and stuff, but they're everywhere. But they know better than to come in the house or in the backyard where the dogs are.
Yeah.
But I've never not had a dog, and I was always the one in the family that my parents had take care of the dog. Everybody loved them,
Yeah.
but I was always the one that took care of them. And I was at the Highland Games here many, many years ago, and a woman that I didn't even know walked up to me and said, "I don't know if you who you are, if you buy in the whole psychic thing." I didn't. I just smiled at her and said, She goes, "Well, I'm a psychic medium, and I'd never seen this before in my life." I go, "What's that?" She goes, "The largest group of spirit animals following you around, mostly dogs." And I knew she was talking about all the dogs I've ever owned in my life,
Yeah,
because most of them I've always been right there with them in my arms
yeah,
as they crossed over. And so I thought to myself, I don't remember, it must be Will Rogers. I could be wrong, but some famous writer or poet once wrote, um, "If there's no dogs in heaven, I want to go where they're at."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
I
that's if
think,
that's my heaven, that will
yeah,
be so wonderful.
yeah. I would be the same because I always had dogs, and when I left Ireland, I left my two dogs that I had had, for 14 years, and my youngest son took the two dogs. And a few years ago, the male of the couple, there was two brother and sister, the same litter. The male died. He died in the vet's office, and my poor son held him while he died. And then Maggie, the female of the couple, she lasted until she was 20 years old. And in the end, she was so, God love her, she wasn't barely able to walk. And, I'd say, "How's Maggie doing?" And he'd show me her on the camera, and he'd say, "She's getting, ma'am, she's getting stiff now." And he says, when she's crying and I can't do anything to help her, he says, I will make the decision. So eventually, anyhow, a couple of Christmases ago, he rings me and he said, "I just want you to know that I've made the appointment with the vet. We're going to euthanize Maggie." Because at this stage now, because he had spent so much money on this dog in the vets, because
Yeah,
the vet had told him, "The next time you have to bring her in, we're going to have a talk because she's getting very, very old, and the day will come I won't be able to do anything for her." And that day did come. So I felt so sorry for him. It was during COVID, and he brings the dog to the vet, and he can't go into the vet's office, so they come out, they carry Maggie in, they sedate her, and they bring her out, and he holds her when the deed is done. And talking about being plaster drunk, he did for the weekend. He said, "Don't talk to me. I don't want anyone near
yeah,
me. Just leave me alone. Let me do what I have to do now." And he just got himself very, very drunk for the weekend. But I could understand that. I mean, that's a hard thing to do, Sean.
yeah. I've been known to fall on the ground and speak in tongues and just be a blithering idiot for days after
Yeah.
I have to have had to put my
Oh,
animals out.
perfect.
And here's
Exactly.
the thing: I don't know. I've lost my parents. I still am not over that. I know they're in a better place, and I know they're watching over me. And I've lost some dear friends. I'm 62 years old, so I've had some dear friends that aren't with us any longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all tough and hard. And but there's nothing for some reason. There's nothing like losing an animal that
Mhm.
you've raised, and even if you haven't raised, you've fostered or sheltered or got from the shelter, any animal that you've lived with and loved, why that is so debilitating when they go, it's just
I think it's because, I mean, animals, especially dogs, but animals give you unconditional love. End of story. It's absolutely unconditional. Most people, there's something attached to the love they give you. Usually, most people, there's something attached. You'll fall out with somebody, or, or you won't do what they want you to do, or something, they don't like the way you look, or something. There's always something. But with an animal, it's total unconditional love. And I think that's the hardest part of lose when you lose that, you kind of know it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if I go to heaven and they're all waiting there for me, that's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
What I want people also to know about you is that maybe in 2023, Sharon and I might be freed up to come out on one of your tours. I know that almost happened a couple of years back, And of all the things that you had planned of me marrying people at the Holy Well and giving confessions at St. Patrick's Bed, and the fire festival that you had us hooked up, one of the things that we were going to do, which was just I knew was going to be just it was going to rock, was Lep Castle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, and a lot of people go to Lep Castle, but a lot of people don't know that you're friends with Sean, the
Yeah.
owner of it.
Yeah.
He's a musician, you're a musician, and that you were going to work out somehow to
Yeah.
do a performance with Sean
Yeah.
there at Lep Castle, which was going to blow my mind. But I looked forward to something was speaking to me about going up and performing some prayers um, up in the Bloody Chapel,
Yeah.
which would have been a once in a lifetime, life changing
Yeah.
experience. Before the show ends, because it's the paranormal ministry, how spiritual was it for you in growing up in Ireland? And if you could share, perhaps if you know a good ghost story that told you that kept you being a good girl when you were growing up, or if you ever experienced spirit growing up that you could share with us.
Well, no matter where you go in Ireland, even the roads, even the fields, there's spirit because we've had a bloody history. And again, the culture, you have people coming to your house and you have music and you have sessions, but you also have storytelling. And near a lot of the houses are, they're not just old, a lot of them are a couple of 100 years old, and they have history. For example, the house that I lived in before I moved to America is a 300-year-old cottage. And I know that that house was haunted, but it never bothered me because it was like, I don't know whether people will understand when I say to you, the house didn't want me to leave. I was
Yes.
quite happy in that house, and I knew that I could be there, and I never locked a door. I never locked a window. I never locked the car door. I'd have my purse in the car door. I never felt the need to, and I was out in the middle of nowhere, Sean, when I tell you. But I went one time to this person. I don't know what you call him. He would be somebody who would clear energies. Now, I went because people that came into my house, they would experience things in the house. I never did. My son saw things in the house, and he saw shadows in the house, and he saw um, a shadow standing outside my door, and he said, it was a tall man, ma'am. He says, but it was like he was protecting you. He says, nobody was getting in near you. And he saw that on a regular basis. Things, there was one of my sons, my oldest son, is a scientist. He's actually an aeronautical engineer, and he wouldn't believe in any of that at all. But he even said that there's something wrong with this house. I always felt quite happy. Now I found out from this man that he clears houses. There was another house just down the road from my house, not too far, just near enough. They weren't joined, but there was a little space between them. And the two men that lived in that house used to walk, and they would have walked through what was now my kitchen to go to a well. Now, this guy would never have known. He doesn't know the house. He doesn't know anything about it. But he says, there's a well up the road. And I says, well, actually, there is. He says, you built something. He says, on their path. I said, oh, my God, I extended the kitchen. He says, yeah, well, he says, they walked through it. He said, but he says, there was also two men in your house. He says, there were two brothers as well. He says, they're very happy that you're there and you're looking after the house. But Sean, even when I was leaving, I knew that house didn't want me to leave.
Yeah, absolutely.
It didn't want me to leave. I never felt alone. I've never actually felt alone. No matter where I am, I've never felt alone. I know that I have spirit with me all the
Oh
time.
yeah, yeah. I can even feel it. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the stories, like my grandmother would tell me stories of the house that she lived in, and now and again when she would be leaving through the gate, walking through the gate, her ankle would be held. She'd be pulled back, and ultimately something would have happened on the road that day when she was stopped from going out. She eventually realized that, oh, I'm not supposed to go today, and she'd go back because there'd be a walk from her house. There'd be a long pathway to the front gate. It's only when she'd get to the front gate that she'd be pulled back by her ankle. I remember another house I was going into. Um, it was one of these English estate houses, big house, and the person it was being renovated, and I had to go into the house, and I'm walking in the front door, and I'm going down this long corridor. But as I'm going down the long corridor, Sean, it's getting darker and darker, and I can see this veil of darkness coming around me, and I knew it was not good. And I thought, I'm getting out of here now. You could
Yeah.
feel it. You could feel it. And I'm telling you, I turned on my ankle and I was out that door because there was nothing good in that. You know, when you walk in somewhere, you know, oh God, I don't like this. I don't like this feeling at all. And you walk out. I remember hearing the Banshee years and years ago, and it was our next door neighbor that died the next morning.
Ugh.
Not a nice sound. Not a nice sound at all. It's like a cat squealing, but it's worse.
It's funny you bring the Banshee up. I was just reading. Somebody sent me something about the Banshee, and I was reading the history behind that. That they were originally women that were paid to be mourners
Oh,
at.
that'd be different now. I'll tell you, they're queenas.
Okay, okay.
That's a thing called a queena. Years and years ago, we had, let's say, if somebody died in my house, we'd have what was called a wake, which would mean that the body is in the house, it's in the coffin, and all the villagers come and they say goodbye to the person that's dead and they support the family. But years ago, you'd have a thing called queenas. There would be a few women that would be brought in, and they would kind of, how would I explain it? It was kind of like crying, but in a song
Oh yeah, okay.
over the body. Yeah, they're queenas. Now, the banshee is what warned you that there's going to be a death.
Yeah, they somebody. I think what they were trying to say was maybe some of those women had died and became banshees, but I don't buy into that. I believe
No,
I buy the elemental,
yeah, yeah. It was,
the witchcrafty
yeah,
elemental essence of the banshee.
yeah. They would turn up. There were certain letters and certain names that that always warned there's going to be a death. I'm not saying that the banshee took the person or caused the death of the person, but they were announcing that there was going to be a death. So when you'd hear the banshee, you'd always know that you're going to hear of a death the next day or 2 days after.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for me, especially if I go into a place where there's we still got a little time left. Where there's a malevolent presence. Uh, just my presence is provocation enough. I don't believe in religious provocation, but I've had like an invisible finger go into this white
Oh yeah.
collar and flip the white. This is
Yes. Yeah.
a white thing that goes
Yeah.
like a tie. Flip it out of my collar. Um, and I'm thinking, speaking of elementals, I'm thinking about back in the day. I have a big angel tattoo on this shoulder, and I always thought there's a famous. I should have had it ready here. I didn't know I was going to talk to you about this. There's a famous painting of a leprechaun done by a famous Irish artist, and it hangs in an art museum somewhere there in Ireland. And I wanted to get that tattooed on my left shoulder,
Yeah.
like the people talk about the angel and the devil being on
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to get that tattooed here, and I never did. And I actually was assisting in an exorcism, and when the unclean spirit had come through the girl, I was too close, and I got bit on my shoulder. This girl
Oh.
bit me on my shoulder, and in the voice of the entity, it said tattoo.
Uh-huh. They didn't like the tattoo.
No, I didn't get it yet.
Oh,
It was giving me the tattoo I never got of this
oh, yes.
demonic leprechaun.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I didn't put it together, two and two together, till afterwards. There was no. I got home thinking that there's going to be skin missing. There was not a mark on me,
That's enough.
but it was very painful. But I remembered about what did it mean by that?
Yeah,
It gave me the tattoo
yeah.
that
Wow.
I never got of this
Yeah.
demonic leprechaun. And leprechauns, I believe, are demonic.
They are the
They
biggest thing. They yeah. Now, do you know something? Talking about it, we're talking about the tour, and maybe, hopefully, you might be an ambassador for me at some stage. There's a place in Ireland, and I didn't talk to you about it, but I think you'd actually love it, and I think your listeners would too. It's a friend of mine. His name is Noon, and he's got this farm. But on this farm, he's got a fairy field and a fairy portal.
oh, we're going. You
He
don't even tell
also
me
has,
anymore.
and he brings you up to it, and he also has a
Is that
standing
that's
stone.
not dangerous? We're not going to make
No,
the fairies
no,
mad?
he would have to ask permission. He does all of that, but
Because
he has
talk
had
to him
people.
about. I've got them here,
Yeah,
and they I think they like Sharon and I. They helped me with a tree that was going to fall on my
yeah,
house once. Talk to your friend and ask him, is there other things I should be doing here other than not really messing around outside too much that would appease them without ex- them expecting more of me? Maybe ask him that
yeah,
and get back to me later.
yeah. I will, yeah, absolutely. Well, he has had people camp there. He would ask the fairies if it was okay. He won't allow people to just. I mean, you have to show absolute respect, to the ground and to the area. He's got a standing stone. He's got a cairn on the land. He's got so many ancient things. This land is really sacred. So if ever,
Oh yeah.
we'll have to talk about putting the tour together, and yourself and your listeners might come over. It'll be fantastic, and I bring you to all
Joshua commented again what you thought about gnomes and fairies,
the
and I
areas.
think yeah, you believe in them.
Well,
How could you not?
I'll tell you, there's a place, and I spoke to you before about it. It's a place called Carrickeel. It's in South Sligo, and it's a mountain range. And there is underground passage tombs that predate the pyramids by 800 years. But the land up there, Sean, is very, very spiritual, and there's ley lines and everything. And I've gone up there. We don't have fireflies in Ireland. We don't have fireflies, but I've sat there in the evening when it's about to get dark, and I have seen what I believe to be fairies. I have seen lights. That's the best way I can describe it, but moving around. And I will always, when I bring people up there, I warn them, don't take even a blade of grass from this ground.
Yeah.
And I, first of all, I ask the spirits up there, am I allowed to bring these people here? And I will get the feeling either you are or you aren't. And if you aren't, you better turn and go quick, because you do not need to annoy the spirits. Because like that, a fog could come down and you'd lose your way, or anything, a wind could rise. You don't. You have to. It's all about respect. And even if you don't understand it, or if you don't believe in it, there are people around you that do. So it would be a wise thing to just show the respect at the time.
Oh my gosh, we're almost done. I
Well,
could talk to you for another
if
hour.
anyone wants to come over to Ireland with me this year, just look at the website, Secret Ireland Tours LLC.com. And Sean, we have to organize something for 2023.
Yes, let me share this with you real quick because Spirit's telling me to do this. You talked about guardian angels come in many forms.
Yeah.
And you talked about these spirits taking care of you at that one home. They were like your guardian angels. This was just sent to me, and I something told me to post it up on my window here above the camera, and I don't know why. And I believe I'm to share it with you. And it's a guardian angel prayer, and it says, "Do not search for us; we will find you. Do not wait for us; we are already here. Do not whisper your name; we know it well. We have loved you forever.
Ah,
Time will tell. We are your guardian angels."
that
I
is
think that was for you.
Ah, thank you. And
I love you.
Sean, I love you too, and all your listeners. And believe me, I am fully covered. God has me covered well. Believe me, I am blessed beyond measure, and I thank God every single day. And I think, whether you pray or not, at this time in the world today, there is an absolute spiritual war going on. I would ask everybody listening, there is a war between good and evil, and we have to pray.
Yes.
We have to pray, and we have to pray for the good to win and for God to, He will anyhow, He's won already. But people have to realize there is a spiritual war in the spiritual realms going on. And the more people that kneel down, even if it's for 5 minutes, and pray for protection and for help and for wisdom and for discernment, and to know when you're being told lies to and to know when you're not. I think if we all do it, we're going to end all this
Yes.
evilness and crap that's going on. You know, that's my advice anyhow.
Well, God bless you. Before they cut us off, thank you so much for being here. An
Thank
hour
you.
out of your busy schedule on a Friday. I'm going to have you back. I love you.
Love you too,
Give your
Sean.
husband a big hug for
I will.
me. And have a beautiful, beautiful remainder of your evening and your weekend. And I'll be in touch.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks to everybody out there. God bless you all.
Good night, May.
Good night. Iwa.
Bye. Okay. It doesn't get better than that, brothers and sisters. And I can't believe I got through that show without crying. And yeah, I'm going to have a hard time coming back from Ireland if I ever go. So anyway, thank you all for joining me. I'll be here next week with another brand new show. Mari Beckman is my guest. She's a healer, psychic medium, remote viewer. You're going to love her. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Paranormal United Network. Thank you, Things Network. Stay blessed, everybody. Good night, Danny. Good night, Dog. Good night, Jack. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. God bless you all. Peace.